Donkey Kong Country is a beautifully designed video game. It stands out when compared to other games on the Super Nintendo because of its enthralling and unparalleled art style. A combination of pre-rendered 3D sprites and sleek animations produced a classic platformer that aged like a fine wine. The character designs are amusing and quirky, while the level designs are unique and filled with surprises. Moreover, Donkey Kong Country's audio design is fantastic. The soundtrack and sound effects accentuate the impact that the visual design has on the player. Notable tunes like Aquatic Ambience, which can be heard in levels that take place underwater, are regarded as one of the best musical compositions in video game history. Not only is the audio design a perfect fit for the environments, they are also marvelously polished. To this day, I frequently listen to songs from this game and its sequels. Speaking of environments, there are 7 primary level types which include underwater levels, jungles, mine shafts, forest, glaciers, factories, and caves. Levels in this game are created with 3D foreground elements and 2D backgrounds. Numerous objects can be found scattered around the levels, many of which are interactive. One of the most common objects in the game are wooden barrels. This is a continuation of the existing barrel theme from the previous Donkey Kong titles. There is even an enemy that throws barrels like the original Donkey Kong, called a Mankey Kong. Unlike the Mario platformer games, there are no blocks to hit or power-up mushrooms to eat. Instead, you get bananas and coins that can give you extra lives. There are also assorted creatures like Rambi the Rhino, Ungard the Swordfish, and Squawks the Parrot that make it easier to defeat enemies and navigate levels. Additionally, Donkey Kong Country is filled with nice-looking visual effects like rain, snow, and fog. These effects add another layer of depth to the level designs and make them that much more immersive. If there is anything that you can learn from this game's design, it's that being a trailblazer can be difficult, but in the end, you'll be happy that you took the road less traveled. Playing Donkey Kong Country is a great experience that keeps gamers hooked even 25 years after the initial release. When I first played this game, I was very young, so I didn't really know what I was doing. However, playing it again when I got older made me realize how special this experience was. The amount of depth Donkey Kong Country offers is astonishing, especially considering the hardware limitations of this generation of video game consoles. The gameplay utilizes a few concepts that encourage creativity and experimentation. One concept that I'm going to refer to as the Kong Shuffle involves switching between Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong to complete levels in a timely manner. Both of the Kongs offer different playstyles, which changes the way you approach the game in single-player and two-player modes. In Donkey Kong Country, you do not have a meter that displays health or health points, but the Kong Shuffle gives players something similar. Barrels that have the letters DK on them can be found at least once or twice in each level, and can replace whichever Kong you may have lost in an enemy encounter. You can also switch between the Kongs to defeat certain enemies when necessary. Some enemies are easier to defeat when you use Donkey Kong, while Diddy Kong is more useful in other contexts. Diddy Kong runs faster and is a little easier to control than Donkey Kong, so if you want to traverse levels quickly, then you can use Diddy Kong. Both of the Kongs can roll and run, which is useful for moving quickly and jumping long distances. As you play through the game, switching between the Kongs becomes more intuitive, and it makes you understand exactly how awesome the Kong Shuffle is. Whether you prefer playing as Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong, Donkey Kong Country is always an engaging and enjoyable experience. Now let's focus on the ethics of Donkey Kong Country. In short, a pot-bellied crocodile named King K. Rool steals Donkey Kong's bananas. Consequently, Donkey Kong and his nephew Diddy Kong go on a quest to retrieve them. One can assume the bananas were stolen out of greed, or so King K. Rool can make his Pirate King fantasy a reality. However, King K. Rool is not a real king, nor is he a real pirate, but he likes to behave like he is both. He's even got a bunch of Kremling minions to do his bidding. Does King K. Rool suffer from delusions of grandeur, or is it something else? For the time being, let's assume he's delusional. If this is so, then King K. Rool cannot be held fully responsible for the crimes he's committed, because he's not fully aware of what he's doing. He cannot understand the gravity of his actions if his perception has been warped by his psychological disposition. Okay, now let's assume that he is fully aware of what he's doing, and he just enjoys stealing bananas and watching the individuals that would have consumed them suffer. This could mean he's just a particularly cruel and sadistic crocodile, although I could be wrong. Maybe he's insecure, and doing things like this make it seem like his life is meaningful, even if it means he must live a life of infamy. From what I can see, King K. Rool does not seem to have much of a purpose. All we know about him is that he is a villain. or so it seems. Alright, now, listen closely. Let's be completely honest. Nobody needs that many bananas. The amount of bananas that Donkey Kong has in his banana cave is outrageous to say the least. Is Donkey Kong the true antagonist? Has his gluttony caused him to hoard bananas in his cave and caused the other jungle-dwelling creatures to go hungry? This would give them no choice but to join K. Rool's forces in a desperate attempt to ensure the survival of themselves and their kin. In this case, King K. Rool would actually be the protagonist, and we have all been fooled into thinking Donkey Kong is not like his predecessors. Maybe Donkey Kong inherited his gluttonous disposition from Donkey Kong Sr., also known as Cranky Kong. In the original Donkey Kong game, Cranky Kong is the villain and repeatedly kidnaps this damsel in distress until Mario eventually stops him. Did Cranky Kong indoctrinate Donkey Kong so that he could use him to realize his power fantasy? The enemies all start attacking the Kongs instantly, almost as if Donkey Kong is a wanted criminal. Is he? When traveling through the levels, Donkey Kong picks up hundreds of bananas along the way. Why is he doing this? Is he taking all the bananas so he can assume the position of King of the Jungle and exploit the other creatures for personal gain? Is Diddy Kong complicit in fueling Donkey Kong's megalomania? Maybe Donkey Kong is jealous of the fact that the Kremlings treat Mr. K. Rool like a king. Donkey Kong is a gorilla. He's the king of the jungle. Who does this crocodile think he is? I may be overanalyzing this, but I don't think there's any harm in playing devil's advocate every once in a while. Let me know what you think about my theory. At this point, it is evident that Donkey Kong Country is a game filled to the brim with personality. The allies and enemies are all distinct and exhibit multifarious behaviors. First, I'm going to analyze the Kongs, specifically their relationships and interactions. As you can see in the beginning of the game, if you go into Donkey Kong's home, he has a picture of someone on his wall. This woman is Candy Kong, who you can find at save points. Candy Kong is supposed to be Donkey Kong's girlfriend, and seems to be a pin-up gorilla of some sort. She blows kisses at you if you show up at her save point, but doesn't have many lines of dialogue. It is possible that she is intended to be eye candy, while adding extra comic relief to the game. Conversely, Cranky Kong has more dialogue than anyone else in the game, and regularly references the original Donkey Kong game. Also, Cranky Kong offers a lot of snarky commentary, as well as information that can help you find secrets in the game. The last Kong, named Funky Kong, lets you travel the levels that you've already completed, and has some dialogue, but like Candy Kong, there are only a few lines. Those are the only characters with dialogue in Donkey Kong Country. However, there are other interesting behaviors to be observed. The enemies and bosses are quite expressive, which makes interactions more engaging. Most of the characters have large eyes, which makes them look kind of cartoony. This makes them more approachable and adds additional comic relief. My personal favorite is the Naughty. It's very cute and goofy looking. You almost feel kind of bad for jumping on their heads. The bosses are all larger versions of the smaller enemies, with the one exception being King K. Rool. Some of the boss battles, like the very naughty and really naughty battles, are basically duplicates, although the later bosses are more difficult. The behavior of the bosses is similar to their smaller counterparts, but more complex. Movement is less predictable, they are more self-aware, and their behavior changes depending on how much you've hurt them. The behavior of video game characters is as important as the behavior of characters in other kinds of visual entertainment like films and plays. It is always a pleasure to find a video game that has memorable and intriguing characters. Donkey Kong Country is one of the most inspiring games I have ever played. Many game developers of this era may have thought that this kind of software would never be possible with the Super Nintendo's hardware limitations, but that didn't stop the developers that worked on Donkey Kong Country from realizing their dream. Let this game be a reminder that some limitations only exist because you choose to perceive them as such. Changing your perspective can give you limitless creative freedom. If everyone viewed limitations as a burden, this outstanding game would have never come to fruition. A filmmaker named Orson Welles once said, "The enemy of art is the absence of limitations." While writing the script for this video, I actually had a particularly relevant experience. When I created the first version of the script and video files, I had an issue with my hard drive that was only fixed when I wiped all the files from my computer. Unfortunately, I was unable to recover the original files for this video, but I decided to recreate all the files from scratch. I'm actually more satisfied with the files that I'm reading right now. In conclusion, my limitations forced me to be a creative problem solver. Maybe you can consider this when you take on your next creative project.